Mr. Reuven Azar, who's the Israel ambassador to India. Thank you so much, Mr. Azar, for joining us. My colleagues Priyank as well as Srinjoy also continue to be with us. Mr. Azar, thank you so much for speaking to Times Now. Your reaction to what has taken place? Of course, the nuclear facilities have been targeted, but we are seeing voices coming in from Iran which are trying to downplay these attacks. How do you look at this?
Well, it's natural that they will try to downplay, but viewers have to understand that this is an historic moment. I think that the bold move of the President of the United States, to which we are thankful, is a very significant move. It basically comes to complement a systematic effort done by Israel in the last 10 days to neutralize two existential threats to our country: the military nuclear program of Iran and the ballistic missile program of Iran. The fact that the United States has joined the Israeli effort, I think, sends a message of seriousness. And although the Iranians have been trying to downplay it, as you said, they will have to face the consequences if they continue retaliating against us and if they dare to attack the United States.
Right. There's also, confirmation coming, there's word coming from Saudi Arabia, Iran as well, saying that there's no nuclear impact, there's no radioactive contamination that has taken place. How are we to look at that? Because that was one very real fear that was expressed in case these nuclear facilities are targeted. The larger question is whether they've been able to get their nuclear material out of these facilities as well, is a question that comes to mind. Mr. Azar.
Of course, nuclear safety is an issue. We've been planning our attacks accordingly. The Iranians might have tried to remove capabilities outside of Iran, but I must remind you that we at this point have mastered control over Iranian airspace, and we know we have very good intelligence regarding Iran's installations that have been occulting this military nuclear activity in over 70 sites around Iran. And our Air Force has proven capable of targeting those. We have set back the nuclear program for many years, and also the ballistic missile program, and we are determined to maintain that situation in the future.
Right. Mr. Azar, with Iran now responding with strikes in different parts of Israel, are we looking at the possibility of a ground offensive as well?
Well, I don't know. I think that the Israeli cabinet will have to decide when and where to retaliate, in which mode. We are not taking this lightly, although Iran's capability to fire missiles at Israel has been degraded substantially. I must remind you that at the beginning of this campaign, they had the capability to fire at us more than 200 ballistic missiles per day. Now it's going down to around 25. It is still very dangerous because some of these missiles penetrate our interception attempts, and we've been hearing of hits this morning in different towns in Israel. The entire population of Israel is under shelter, and therefore this continues to constitute a danger for us, and we will continue having freedom of action in our effort to defend ourselves.
Right. And what about, how, with this bombing happening, how are you seeing this impacting the entire war? Of course, it's a significant step that the US has intervened, but what are we looking at in terms of how things unfold? Because there's been a lot of talk from Israel about regime change. President Trump, however, did not use that word.
The Israeli cabinet hasn't used that word either. We have been concentrating. We have been following the adoption of the cabinet's decision to deal with two existential threats: the nuclear military threat and the ballistic missile threat. We are not having a plan of regime change. We said that if eventually this leads to regime change in Iran, this will be great news for the Iranian people. But we do not have a policy of regime change of Iran or any other country in the region.
Right. But what do you see as a permanent solution to this conflict in that case, Mr. Azar?
Well, we hope very much that the Iranian regime will answer positively to the offer, repeated offer, by the way, of the American president to come to the negotiating table. Unfortunately, they didn't take the president's offer to negotiate seriously the last time, because they've been exploiting these 5 rounds of negotiations during 60 days to try to sneak out the nuclear weapon. If they stop doing that, I think that we have a chance for diplomacy to succeed.
Right. But with the Houthis coming out to say that they're going to be attacking U.S. warships in the Red Sea, what's the possibility of this escalating into a wider conflict in the Middle East?
Well, it depends on Iran. If they decide to target additional targets, American targets or any other targets, I think they will have to bear the consequences. I think that the fact that Israel, have degraded significantly Iranian's capability to continue its aggression, and since the American forces have been deploying in the region in such a significant way, that the Iranians will be deterred.
Right.
I hope so.
Are there any other targets that Israel has in mind as far as Iran is concerned, or are we looking at a cessation of the bombing from Israel's side towards Iran?
Well, I cannot comment on future actions of Israel. There are still many military targets that we can target. It is up to the Israeli cabinet to decide whether we're going to continue and how.
Right. Now, Iran has come out to say that the airstrikes are unlawful. They've also stated that the action violates international regulations, and they're accusing the International Atomic Energy Agency, or the IAEA, of indifference, even complicity. How does Israel respond to these allegations?
Well, anyone that listens to these ridiculous statements understands how absurd they are. You know, the IAEA has determined in its report that Iran is in non-compliance of its safeguards agreement. It means that they have repeatedly conducted clandestine, undeclared military nuclear activities around Iran. And this, of course, creates a situation in which it puts not only the world in danger, but it completely undermines the NPT. So committing these crimes and deceiving the world for decades, and then blaming the world for responding, is absolutely preposterous.
Right, Mr. Reuven Azar, I'd like to thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us your perspective on what we can expect in coming days and what Israel's perspective is on the latest developments, particularly with the United States entering the Iran-Israel war. Thank you so much for joining us.